AI is a very interesting technology because unlike others, or in a much greater degree than others, it has been very polarizing in the last 2 years. And you'll see two extreme camps: those that are extremely optimistic about AI and everything it can bring for us, saying, it'll usher us in a new era of prosperity and well being, and, all problems will be solved. And some others saying this thing is going to kill us, is going to be doomed. Now, the interesting thing you'll notice is that you have actually very smart people on both sides. It's not like you have, I don't know, scientists on one side and maybe uninformed people on the other. You actually have quite brilliant people on both sides of this, and that makes AI a very interesting technology. The fact that it can elicit such strong responses in terms of what is it actually going to do. Now, to temper expectations and to also temper maybe the emotions that come with it, I think it's helpful to look at Gartner, one of the world's leading consulting company. It has a model called the hype cycle, and it uses it for all technologies, and it's very illuminating when you look a new technology through the lens of this model. If you're familiar with it, you'll immediately recognize what I'm talking about. If you're not, let me just quickly walk you through it. Essentially, what they're describing is that whenever there's a new technology, it goes through a phase. So in this case, the x-axis is time. And when the innovation is triggered, the expectations start to arise. So we start thinking, oh, this thing is going to be great, it's going to be fantastic, it's going to change the world. And then at some point, we've reached the peak of inflated expectations. We've really blown out of proportion what we think this technology is going to do. Then we start going down in terms of our expectation starts going down, and then we reach a point of disillusionment. We think, oh, well, this was not all it was hyped up to be. It's probably not that interesting to begin with. And then as the technology matures and as our understanding of how to utilize it matures as well, we actually end up finding a good way to incorporate it. If you want a recent example, think of a Bitcoin and all the altcoins. That was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. At some point, you reached a fever pitch. Everybody was telling you have to invest in Bitcoin. This is going to change the world. And then time has passed, and it's still a very interesting topic. But we don't have the same fever pitch that we had about Bitcoin now, like we did 4 years ago. And we anticipate that something similar may happen with AI. Now, maybe it's now coming down. We're starting to see, well, this thing was very promising. There's data issues, and we don't know exactly how to use it, and people having a little bit of change fatigue, and there's the fact with the hallucination, is this security for my IT department, and so on and so forth. So now maybe we're starting to come down from what was a very inflated peak of expectations. The question we ask ourselves is, how do we make sure that as companies adopt AI, they do it in a way that is conscious, meaning a way that is effective, a way that's going to give them the results that you're all pursuing, but it's not going to be only in the short term and at the high cost of not taking care of people, profits, and planet, essentially. So to understand then, how do we enable a conscious adoption of AI? Let me just give you a brief overview of what mindsets are, which is a key concept that we utilize. And then we'll take this concept of mindsets and we're going to apply it to what are the mindsets that make for a more effective leadership when it comes to the adoption of AI. So if you're here as a manager, a leader, or somebody who can influence them, or just somebody who's interested in learning, what mindsets, what ways of thinking, what behaviors, what attitudes are more conducive for me as a leader to ensure that when we adopt AI, it gives us the results that we're looking for? This is the question that we'll be trying to explore, and we start a journey with mindsets. So mindsets essentially are values, beliefs, aspirations, assumptions we have, filters we have. These are things that are happening in the background. So you'll see this image, they have this colored sunglasses. One way in which we explain mindsets is, imagine you're wearing colored sunglasses, but you don't know if yours are colored pink. Most of the things you'll see will look pinkish. And if you're not conscious of the fact that you're wearing them, you think this is the world. It looks like this, until you change those lenses and suddenly the world looks differently.